Welcome to TRO, Season 3, Episode number 4. Welcome back. I have once again another special guest, special return guest speaker, Leo Savage. Today's special topics we're going to be discussing the difference between local, federal, private, and state funding. What is the difference? Today you're going to learn what is the difference. We're going to also provide you with some community announcements. We're going to also be discussing the situation going on at the fairgrounds field. Soon, unfortunately, sadly, it will be demolished, so we'll be discussing the issues about that. And welcome to the show. I'm Jeff Trotter, your executive producer and editor. Today's community announcements. I'd like to announce that the Department of Transportation, the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development announces a project to improve safety for motorists at one of the Shreveport's busiest intersections. The $3.1 million project will reconstruct the left turn lanes on LA1 Geary Drive at its intersection with Regal Drive near the Sam's Club and Target shopping centers. Construction is set to begin on Monday, October 10th, 2022, with the installation of subsurface drain structures. The work will require a complete closure of the intersection for approximately 5 days. Access for local traffic will be maintained during the initial intersection work, though no lane closures or construction activity will impact traffic will be allowed during the holiday shopping season. Construction will resume after the first of the year. So again, starting Monday, October 10th, 2022. If you're traveling in that area, you know Geary Drive is a very busy area, so be careful. Expect some major delays or detours. Again, that is Monday, October 10th, 2022, when they will begin that phase. If you're looking for a DJ, a good DJ, I recommend DJ Pitt. A dream doesn't become reality through magic. It takes sweet determination and hard work. Book your DJ today, 318-519-1902. Again, that's 318-519-1902, DJ Pratt, if you're looking for a good DJ. Also, Arthur M. Johnson, Commandery, number 12, Knights Templar, PHA, and Royal Fidelity Court, number 5, Order of Cyrene, PHA, presents National Night Out, Tuesday, October 4th, 2022, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., Union Masonic Hall, 5632 Hearn Avenue, Shreveport, Louisiana. Join us for music, food, fun, and prizes. For more information, contact S. Sky Derry Wilson at 318-347-8952. Again, that's 318-347-8952. That is S.K. Derry Wilson, or contact R.C. Ella Harris at 318-200-6254. Ella Harris, 318-200-6254. This is for National Night Out, Tuesday, October 4th, 2022, from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Union Masonic Hall. Again, that's 5632 Hearn Avenue, Shreveport, Louisiana. At this time, I'm going to present you moments of Black history. Spare me for just a few moments. Again, welcome to the show. This is just a continuation from the last show. The last episode, I stated that on September 10th, 1962, the United States Supreme Court ordered the University of Mississippi to accept James Meredith as a student. That's on September 10th, 1962. On September 25th, 1962, Governor Ross Barnett, in defiance of the court order, blocked Meredith's entrance to the university. At this time, in 1962, there was a lot of racism in Mississippi, and the governor didn't care what the Supreme Court says. He refused to let a black man at that enter to the university. On September 30th, 1962, federal troops sent by President Kennedy escorted James Meredith onto the campus. Again, September 30th, 1962, Federal troops sent by President Kennedy escorted James Meredith onto the campus. That is this week's Moments of Black History. Now, I'm going to take a few moments to discuss and break down the difference between federal, state, local, and private funding. It is a very big difference. A lot of people are they're not educated quite well between the two, so we're just going to take a few moments to just educate you on the difference between the two. Because a lot of citizens complain, well, these funds should have went towards the road. Well, if I have $1 million and I put into the Texas Street Bridge, it's called private funding. It's going to be for that purpose, not for the roads. I mean, if my money, if I want to use it for that purpose, it's going to be used for that purpose. The meaning of state funding, purposes of money that a government provides for something. That's state funding, money that a government provides for something. Local funding means discretionary local resources for public health functions, including amounts from general and special revenue funds, but excluding amounts receiving from fees and licenses and other user fee types of payments of service. State funding is the money available for spending by a national or state government. That's state funds. And last but not least, private funding. A private equity fund is a collective investment scheme used for making investments in various equity securities according to one of the investment strategies associated with private equity. Private equity funds are typically limited partnerships with a fixed term of 10 years. And that is this little small difference between state, local, private, and federal funding. And at this time, I'm just going to introduce our return guest, Leo Savage.
Hi, how are you, Jeff? Thank you for inviting me into the Jeff Trotter studio.
Well, we do appreciate you for returning, and at this time, I'm just going to tell people, again, you're a return guest. You was on here a few years ago when you ran for mayor. I just wanted to just tell people about the experience. I was really hoping that you win, but I know the campaign I know you had quite the time. So just tell about your experience with that campaign at that time.
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I will tell you that the experience was one that was a growth experience. I certainly learned a lot. I'd never been in politics before. The only reason why I got in the race for mayor is because I was tired of our infrastructure failing, like it's still failing. The crime, which our crime is still high. And I think what really pushed me over the limit was there was a 3 or 4-year-old little girl in Queensboro that got murdered, and that was December before the election year, and that's really what caused me to run. But the experience in itself was again magnificent. I learned a lot from both sides. I learned truly what people look for in a mayor, although I don't think I still know what people vote for. I think sometimes they vote for the wrong things. They may vote because they don't know a lot about the candidate or what the candidate stands for or what the candidate can bring to the table. But I would certainly encourage you all to do the investigation, do your homework with the mayor's race that's coming up right now.
Speaking of mayor, what does it take to be a good mayor?
In my opinion, someone who understands business, because you have to treat running the city like you're running a business. The problem, if you don't, is everything gets helter-skelter. I'll give you an example with our infrastructure right now. If you don't have the departments communicating with each other, you'll get the water, say the street repair crew goes out and they repair Kings Highway right there in front of Bird, and then they repair that road. Well, a month later, in comes the water department to fix the leaky pipes that caused the street to break up anyway. So they bust up the street that has just been repaired, and now it starts all over again. But unless you treat infrastructure the way you honestly should treat it as far as fixing it, you'll never really get a hold on it. But to me, what the best mayor to elect is one who has zero to gain, but the progress of our city. One who's not afraid to make Republicans mad, Democrats mad, independents mad, blacks mad, whites mad, Latinos mad. You have to make the decisions for the city. In other words, there's going to be a decision that may pop up, and it might make your own party a little upset with you, but that's okay. You have to do what's right for the city. Not for yourself, not for a party, not for a color. You have to do it for the city. And if we do that, then you're going to see the city progress, and jobs will be plentiful, money will be plentiful, the infrastructure can be repaired the way it should be repaired. No more litter, because people will start taking pride in everything. I think really the real cause behind crime is the lack of jobs. You know, you look way back in the day, and we had manufacturing plants all over the city, which employed a lot of people. I worked at one of them when I first left college, and I was able to support a family with that money. But now those don't exist. People have McDonald's, they have Subway. You know, those are the jobs you have, and you're going to make $8, $9, $10 an hour. You can't make anybody's living. You can't make a rent payment. You can't feed a family on that kind of money. So people tend to go towards, well, where can I make money? Well, it ends up being drugs or gangs or crime, something that involves having to use a gun sometimes. So I really think that the cause of our crime is a lack of jobs mainly.
Very well said input. I've also noticed that being mayor is takes a lot. Well, what would you say to the ones who think that mayor has the ability to control or stop crime completely? Like, there's no man, no woman in office can completely promise they can get rid of crime. However, now they can do their best to control it, but no person can promise you they can completely rid of crime.
No, let me give you an example. You know, right now we're 125 officers down for the city. Now, let's just put some numbers to that. So if you took each officer with their pay, with the retirement, the benefits, and everything that they have to have, you're looking at about $50,000 a year. Now, if you times that times 125, you get $6.25 million. So if you're looking at $6.25 million, we have not spent that money. So where do you spend that money? To me, you know, we should be investing that money in areas where we have high crime. You can get mobile surveillance units, and you can place those in these high crime areas. And it acts like it's an officer, you know, on the street, and it's policing. And we have to have something. You just can't sit back on your hands and expect things to get better. No, one person cannot make this city safe. I will tell you that I don't care who it is, you're still going to have crime. Crime is going to happen. Sadly, it's the way it is. Everywhere.
It's not just Shreveport. It's not just, even though, you know, I get the Shreveport Boulder Wars. Why is it so much animosity? Why are we against each other? Why can't we work with each other?
So, good question too. I mean, and again, I think that goes with the two mayors of the cities. You have to have somebody who's not so prideful to say, well, I can do this on my own. You know, a good mayor is somebody that always says, hey, I can use help anywhere and anyhow I can get it. You know, Bossier, can we work together if there's something that happens over there? I want you to be able to cross over this bridge and you have full police power right here. And we should be able to do the same. What if we're low on officers? Can we borrow a couple of years? If you're low, can you borrow? Yes. But that's what we should do. We're sister cities, and we should do that. We should be working, you know, hand in hand with the sheriff's department. Again, Bossier, Caddo, everybody should work together. This should be a unit. Everybody working together. I don't know if you know what synergy is, but synergy is like if you look at my fingers, and you know, I've got pretty strong fingers, and if I'm poking one at a time, I've got pretty strong. But if I take them and I put them together, then I've got something that's very powerful. And that's what synergy is. You put everything together and you can get a good synergy, and we can be better as one.
Well said, well said. Especially what we said about the police trying to make it better. Now, I just wanted to provide some feedback from the recent listening sessions that I went to based on the information that I received. The bond proposal, what everyone voted yes on for police, fire and police. As far as the police, yes, I had no idea how much bad shape the city jail and the police department is in bad shape. But what they plan on doing is eventually the plan is to tear down the current headquarters, rebuild it, and in the process of rebuilding, they plan on building several substations. And once these substations are built, they plan on assigning officers in each of those areas where they can actually stay there and possibly live in these areas where they don't have to drive so far to the main headquarters. And as far as possible locations, they're looking at North Market. If you go by the area where Wendy's is, like right next to it, at first that was going to be like a farmer's market. Some company decided to buy it, but what happened was when they found out about the farmer's market downtown, then they decided that they had other plans. They just decided to make it all one downtown at the farmer's market. So they asked the city, well, we bought this property here, we would like to donate it, and so the city is looking to constructing a substation there. It's enough space, and they have it from the feedback. They said if you are afraid to like do a purchase, you can have someone meet them there, and you feel safe, and they're opening for basically for public safety. Also, the west side of Shreveport, they're looking at the old, I believe that's the Foremost factory, milk factory. Mm-hmm. They're planning on building a substation there, but the plan is to build several substations where we'll have a better police force, and hopefully we'll have better policing.
That's good. So, you mentioned private funding earlier, and let me give you kind of an analogy here. Let's say that you're going to church, and the pastor is asking you to tithe, right? And you feel God wants you to do that, which you should. Well, you see everything happening in this church where the pastor's taking the money. The pastor's not doing what he should do, right? Well, are you going to continue to tithe? No, you won't tithe. But if you see everything that you're doing and what you're putting into your church is growing and it's helping the community and all the people, then you want to give more. Well, this is the same way private funding works. If people start seeing and believing in our city again, then you'll start seeing there's a lot of wealthy people in this city and the surrounding areas. Even the people that don't live here that still love Shreveport, they would start giving money to help us to build anything we want. But we have to start believing in ourselves and start doing the right thing, not be corrupt, not try to think about sticking $1 in my pocket and give you 2 cents. It doesn't work that way. We have to we have to do things right, each and every day.
Fair share. Fair share. Well, everybody gets part of it.
Absolutely.
Can you explain the difference between state and federal funding? Because as I discussed earlier, apparently we have several roads in Shreveport that belongs to the state. I believe the back part of the was West 70th behind the airport. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that belongs to the state, and Hearn Avenue belongs to the state. So, where is this funding going to if the roads are not being well maintained?
Well, another good question. As you know, when you go spend $1 in Shreveport, 9.05% or 9 cents, just call it, out of that dollar goes to city and state. You have about 4.5 that goes to city, and the other portion goes to the state. And then let's get it on a bigger picture. You have a job, and you make $100, and you look at your check, and that's $70, right? And you look on there and you see all the deductions, and you see federal income tax, state income tax. Well, the state income tax is where they get a lot of their money, and then the federal comes from the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's corporate. You have anything we go out and spend money on, you get city or state taxes. But when we go earn the money, then you get federal and state. Those are the people who get their fair share of our I won't say fair share, maybe they get a lot more than fair share of our money. And then the problem is the people that you elect, the people that you and I put in office, they're the people that say, okay, well, we think this is where this money should go. And honestly, we've got to do a better job, you and I do, of making sure we hold those people accountable to do those things. The state gives us, like, if you've ever gone on 3132 and you see the grass growing up or you see trash on it, well, the state gives us money, the city, to provide all the grass cutting and picking up litter. They give us money for that. Now, if we don't utilize it, or if you're taking somebody who's not managing, remember we talked about having somebody to manage it, managing that correctly, well, it looks terrible. And, I know I'm just going to say if I was mayor, I would, and first time I'd ever met Governor Edwards, I'd invite him up here, and I want to tell you what I would do. I'd get me an old straw hat, and I'd get me some overalls, and I wouldn't even wear a shirt, and I'd have some flip-flops on when he came in my office. And I'm sure his eyes would bug out of his head, like, what in the world is this? And I tell him right there, I'm like, first impressions really mean a lot to you, don't they? Sure. And he'd say, well, and I'm like, you and I are going to go take a ride. And we'd go get a ride on, not a Cadillac, I'm talking about something that you could feel every bump. We'd drive to Texas, and we'd turn around, and we'd come in and say, I want you, as somebody who's never come into Shreveport, never come into the state, what would your impression be when you came in? And I would want to know that. I mean, you're looking at I-20 east and west traffic coming in. You're looking at I-10 the same way. I mean, unless we start thinking like we're proud of our city and our state, nothing's ever going to happen. Nothing will. So, I just, again, it's the people that we put in to office and the people that we have to expect and we have to hold accountable to do the job that they're supposed to do.
Very well said, very well said. Like I said, there's a lot of responsibility the city is not only up to, because I noticed I made a call a few weeks ago to the DOT the Department of Transportation, traffic transportation, and there's just a lot of back and forth. I'm not the only one. I see on Facebook all the time people call about the trash and the and the tire treads along the interstates, the lights on I-220 at nighttime. Half of those, or nearly all of them, are completely out. It's dark, so when you call, they say the city are responsible to maintain those lights, but from the feedback, there's a lot of back and forth. You call the city, they say, well, you have to call the DOTD. When you call DOTD, you have to call the city. So there's something's not right.
No, you're right, and I absolutely hate that pass the buck thing. It's not my job. First off, I think if you called about an issue, and it really was not my department, the thing that we have to teach and we have to train and develop the people who work in those departments is to say, that is actually another department, that let me give you that number and an extension that you can call to get the person that you need to speak with. And if you've got that, then you've got a clear channel to where you need to go. But don't just say, oh, it's not our job, it's somebody else's job, sorry about that. And then now you're having to go search to find out where you need to go. I mean, it's just, it's poorly trained people, that drives me crazy.
Well, very well said. Now we're going to go into continuation with the infrastructure. Just a few months ago, matter of fact, was last month, was the water advisory, and I learned something. I didn't know that we had a total of 7 water towers around Shreveport. What's crazy about that, out of 7 of those towers, nearly all of them, 5 out of 7, needed repairs. That just shows to tell you that the lack of maintaining those towers here in Shreveport is very sad.
It is. And I'm not going to point a finger. It's just like, it's like us. Sometimes, we're driving around on 4 tires, and one of them starts showing metal. We're not looking at it. We're driving around on it. We're relying on it for our safety, our family safety, but we fail to look at it. And then all of a sudden we have a blowout. And
I just had one a couple of weeks ago. I was driving on 220. I had, like you said, had I would have known to check. I mean, but it was fine until I got halfway to work. Then
that's right.
Tire blew out.
now again, the finger point. I won't point a finger. I know those things happen. I think that we assumed that everything was okay, but we also pay people to make sure those things are maintained. So it's not like, Jeff, you've got somebody on payroll to check your tires. But we have somebody to check our towers. You talked about a little bit about infrastructure, and if you don't mind me talking about that a little bit.
Go ahead.
Infrastructure is, I know you've been around on every city street. You've driven on just like I do. You're driving and it's like, bam, you hit a pothole, or you hit what they call a blow up, where the concrete on both sides blow up, and now you've got a peak, and it just blows your tire out, probably, Jeff. It does all kind of things, right? If we do things right as a city, we allocate a certain amount of money every year towards our infrastructure. Now, if we're smart, if we do the right thing, and again, this goes back to management, not politics, but if you look at our city and you drew a circle around it, and then you put a T right in the middle of that circle, we would have 4 pies, right? 4 pieces of our city. So you get public works, the street repair, everybody, the engineers, go out. I want you to go and tell me what area is the worst area. And they come back and they say, well, area number 3 is the worst. So, okay. why don't we focus and put all of our money, now, and I say all, I'd say 90-95% of our money into fixing that section
of the
first.
Right.
We put that one and everything gets fixed. We're not going and being MacGyver and putting duct tape on it. We're really fixing that problem. And now, next year, we come around and say, okay, we've got 3 taken care of. Now what's next? Well, number 1 is really bad too. All right, let's go ahead and take care of that one the same way. Now, you might say, well, what about all these other ones in the meantime? Well, you're going to, in 4 years, you'll have immaculate streets. You'll have those things repaired. But in the meantime, you should easily be able to establish an app. There are cities all over the United States that do this. And it's the app, you download it on your phone and you report a pothole. Well, we're working on area 3 and I live in 4, but there's a pothole. Well, I report the pothole. And there should be a crew that does nothing but go out and repair potholes. Now, let me tell you about fixing potholes. We use asphalt.
Big no.
Yeah. Now, asphalt, you kind of like, well, okay, we mix the asphalt up, they stuck it in the hole, and now you've got a speed bump or whatever. What you should use, now it's not that the city employees don't want to use this, but if you use tar is a pliable product. Asphalt, when it gets cold or it gets hot, it's going to blow up out of there, and now you've got a mess like crazy. Tar will expand and contract with that hole. Now, and you've got something that's going to last a lot longer. Mind you, it's still duct tape. It's not fixed completely, but we're going to get around to that section within these 4 years. But that's the only way, truly, that a city the size of Shreveport is going to be able to get their infrastructure fixed properly.
I'm glad you explained that. That definitely explains when you go in these areas and you wonder why they go and fix this part of the road like 1 million times out of the week.
Yes.
Because they're using the asphalt and not the tar.
That's right. That's right.
That was good. That was good. Now we're going to go into our main part of the session and talk about the fairgrounds field and give you a little history. Again, as you may know, that is in the process of demolition, sadly. But at this time, I'll give you a little history on the fairgrounds field. Fairgrounds Field is a baseball stadium in Shreveport, Louisiana, located next to Independence Stadium on the Louisiana State Fairgrounds, just off Interstate 20. Fairgrounds Field opened in 1986 and underwent renovations in 1999, 2009, and 2011. The stadium has a seating capacity of 4,200 people. Fairgrounds Field currently does not have a primary tenant. In the past, it has most notably served as the home field of the Shreveport Captains, Shreveport Swamp Dragons, Shreveport Bossier Sports, and Shreveport Bossier Captains Minor League and independent baseball teams. Fairgrounds Field hosted the 1986 and 1995 Texas League All-Star Games, 1995 AA All-Star Game, 1995, 1996, and 1998 Southern Conference Baseball Tournament, 2004 Summit League Baseball Tournament, and 2011 Southwestern Athletic Conference Baseball Tournament. It has hosted many college baseball teams, including LSU, Louisiana Tech, Northwestern State, Centenary, and LSU Shreveport. The facility has also been used by local high school baseball teams. In 2019, there was a $1 million bond issue. However, local voters didn't support it, and as of late, there are no plans from the city of Shreveport on what the future of the property will look like. And unfortunately, the city of Shreveport will be demolishing the baseball stadium. There are plans to expand the parking lot. So it has quite some history there. And as y'all know, it had quite a few conferences and tournaments there, so it has some history. Let's just give people your thoughts on the fairgrounds field.
Well, that's a great topic, and Fairgrounds Field near and dear to my heart. I mean, I've played ball for years, and you know, a bunch of us used to go out there and watch the game. You're talking about, we watched players who later became major league players. A lot of them. It was amazing. We even had, I mean, even when the bond failed, about 6 years ago, and you're not going to find out about this from a lot of people, but East Texas Baptist University came over here. They were willing to take the field over and do the renovations. Well, the mayor at that time said, no, you're not going to put East Texas Baptist University on State Fairgrounds Field. Well, who cares? I mean, it's beautiful, it's going to be used and utilized properly, but that's not what happened. So they turned that down. Fast forward several years later, even when I was running for mayor, we had a couple of people who were willing to come in. Now, again, remember, you got to look at things on a business plan, right?
Right.
Now, we could have had several people come in and lease the property. I would lease it for $1 a year. Now, they have to pay taxes. Nobody's paying taxes, by the way, now on the property. But they would have to pay taxes, which that's income for the city. Couldn't help a street, maybe, you know. But the thing that individual or that company or group would have to do is they would have to put their money into the Fairgrounds Field. Now, for me, if it was me doing that, I would say, now here's the deal that I'm going to put to you. First off, I want 1 day a week when you have a homestand, I want 1 day a week to be dollar night. And dollar Cokes, dollar hot dogs, you know, whatever you're doing, so you can bring families out here. Let families come out. Let them get involved. Let them see exactly what this experience is all about. Not just somebody who might have a little money can be able to come out. So it can be affordable. I would also have required them to use, just like Jeff stated, we college baseball teams, you know, we could have that. Even when there was not college baseball or baseball being played, set it up in that field out there is perfect size to set up for soccer, for high schools or anybody. You can have girls softball hosted out of that. There could be a multitude of things. Have training camps for kids in that area. You know, we have a lot of kids, teens that are really needing something. And if you could get people just to come around and start helping them, teach them how to play whatever sport it might be, that, you know, again, you're changing behaviors and you're changing the way people think and you're inspiring people instead of holding them down. I mean, it's not about holding people down. It's about giving them an opportunity. And to me, I think we missed a big one. Now, Attorney Jerry Harper has, I think he just filed something that said, hey, you know, okay, you know, stop the demolition because histoplasmosis. Now, histoplasmosis is really, it affects the lungs, and it's really from the dung or the droppings of the bats that were there. Now, the bats have been eradicated, and I shouldn't say eradicated, been captured and moved, but apparently the dung was not cleaned up. Don't know. I'm just going to assume that since that motion was filed about that. But I do think that the whole thing, we even had another company come in and said, hey, we'll rescue you, just stop the demolition. You know, why not just stop it? Why not pay the people, let them go, and let's get somebody to come in there and turn it around? The thing is solid concrete. I mean, it's concrete, man. I mean, you know, I've looked at it. I went all through there, and it's structurally sound. Now, does it need work? A lot of work. Yeah. But I mean, I think they built it for what was it, $3.5 million back in the day, and it would need way more than that. you know, to renovate it. But you got a lot of people who wanted it. They wanted to bring teams in here. They wanted to play AA, AAA teams that really were looking at something. They wanted a home. They wanted to train. And we had a couple of them we contacted. Yes, we're interested. But, you know, you have to have a mindset of not thinking about what can I do to get $1 in my pocket, you know, and that's the problem with most of your political leaders right now. Everybody is looking to make $1, you know. I mean, it's not about that. It's about Shreveport. And just, again, I hope you vote for somebody who is about Shreveport.
I'm really glad that you stated that, because like you said, there's a lot you could really do for the fairgrounds field. I mean, I noticed a few years ago, look at the Independence Stadium. It used to just sit there. They wasn't even using it, but now they're using it for all kind of games. Now it could have been the same for the fairgrounds field.
That's right.
I mean, at least for like 2 years, the Independence Stadium was just left there, left to right, kind of almost. I could have been in almost the same condition as the fairgrounds field.
Yes.
But they finally decided to use it more often, which is good. But, you know, just forget about the fairgrounds field. Really, but at this point, when we don't know, because I pass by it all the time, it looks like they're halting demolition. So we'll see. We just have to wait and see it this time. Because I mean, it looks like they started tearing things up, but it's looking like it's at a complete halt as of this moment.
Well, you also look at Hirsch. You know, you had the Hirsch Memorial Coliseum there, and it was getting in pretty bad shape too. But you know, now it's called George's Pond. You know, we've got an incredible hockey facility that we've done so much of that, and it's amazing. You know, don't be so proud to gobble everything up. You know, I mean, come on, let's allow people to do things and help our city, make it grow.
I totally agree. Like, give it a chance. Cause you have no plans with it. Once you tear it down, it's gonna do what you always do here in Shreveport when you tear buildings down, become an extended parking lot. Like, is it more to that? Like, why wouldn't we always tear down buildings and make them into parking lots?
Well, I mean, envision this just for a second. I mean, I want you to imagine that you and your family live in somewhere in East Texas, and you're driving to Alabama, you know, for whatever reason, and you're on I-20, you're driving through, and you look over and you see this stadium filled with people, and there's a baseball game. Lights are bright, and you know everything is going on, and it's just, and, you know, the kids are looking. What is that, Dad? What's going on? And you know, everybody, oh my gosh, you know, what is that? You know, we're going to have to stop by and see that when we come back through. Well, sure enough, they come back and they check it out, and they're like, oh, Shreveport's a pretty cool place. Why don't we come over here and visit? Or why don't we come over here and live? Instead of us having all this blight, people are leaving Shreveport left and right. You know, I mean, we need to do things that'll drive. I'll tell you another thing that I really think that should happen. You know, casinos. We got a multitude of casinos right here. Now, what makes a casino work? What makes them money? Jeff, I asked that question.
Big people.
People. All right. So me knowing that, right? Again, you got to think business on this. If it were me, I would call a meeting with all of the casinos, and I would say, hey, what do you think we could do to bring more people into you so you could make more money? Well, we need to maybe clean the city up. Okay, so you're getting money, you're making money. So here's what I'd like to do. Why don't we, if you've ever been to Six Flags, and you ever ridden on that little train, you know, why not take and make a ferry that you can cross from Shreveport to Bossier on the ferry, on the river, which would be so cool now that the bridge is lit, and you can go back and forth easily. And then if you get on our side, even on Bossier's side, you get these little trains. And back in the day, they had a Hamels amusement park all the way down. You know, you make this train, you know, go all the way down there, get that piece of land back, and make it an amusement park again, and have it where it's family friendly and it's fun. Start making things fun where people they come here to have a good time, a good experience. I mean, what casino wouldn't just jump all over that? You know, we have to be able to bring these people into Shreveport, and when they get here, you don't want them to turn on the news when they're in their room and like, well, 3 people shot and blah, blah, blah. You know, you want to hear, oh, hey, come ride the train. Oh, this was a great thing. You know, hear all the good things, you know. So we're missing the boat. Pardon the pun on the casino boats.
It's been awesome. So, do again, I do appreciate you coming up on the show, and again, excellent input, well educated, and I really enjoyed doing the show again. At this time, we will provide some scripture of encouragement. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths." So no matter what you're going through, don't forget where you come from, and trust in the Lord at all times.
Amen.
Getting ready to wrap things up. What do you say to those who, you know, who has a plan, but you know, but will always want to, you know, you always have that one spoiled, well, wouldn't say spoiled, one bad apple of the branch that want to bring you down. What do you say to that person who has that goal and want to achieve something major, but just discouraged?
Oh, well, let me just tell you, I grew up in Sunset Acres, and you all know about Sunset Acres now. There's a lot of crime there. There were, on the left of me, there were about 4 doors down, there's a kid that committed a murder and is in jail. 3 or 4 doors to the right of me is a kid that committed murder and is in jail. You know, people around you, that's your environment. But it's up to you to decide what you want to do. That there should be no one individual that should ever change your focus. Lock in on what you want to do, and you go after those dreams, because they're your dreams, your goals, and you can achieve them. The people that try to hold you down are the people that they don't have your dream, they don't have your goal, they don't have your drive or desire. And you've got to believe in yourself, continue to believe in yourself, surround yourself with the people who will applaud you and push you towards your goal. But don't let people hold you back. There are too many people out there that are doubters, and that's okay. You know, be the very best that you can be every single day, and just be proud of what you've done, period.
Well said. And I just want to add, like you said, don't let anyone stop you from achieving your dream. Whatever you want to do it. Prime example, you know, everyone knows me. I'm very passionate in wrestling. I don't care what you say about it, but you can't get in there and do what I have experienced, personal experience in the ring. And I mean, it's a learning experience. I mean, I have met some awesome people over the past years, pro level, much better than I am. And again, I'm not quite there yet, but if I continue doing what I'm doing, I will get there. And like I said, follow your dreams. Anything is possible. Don't let anyone stop you. That's my advice.
Let me tell you a funny story real quick. Do I have time?
Yes, sir.
This is, I shouldn't say funny story. This is a story about, there's 2 guys that started the railroad, and at the same day. And one man, he worked there for years and years, and he was out there working. The man was probably in his late 50s, I'm gonna say, and he's out there swinging a hammer out there, driving those stakes on the railroad. And this young kid comes up, and he's first day on the job, and they put him beside the old man because, they want him to get a good experience and learn and understand what he's doing. Well, the old man's over there just outworking the young man, but they're sitting down, and they're talking the whole day, and the young man certainly respects him. Well, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, all of a sudden, about a mile down the road, all you see is a big dust cloud. And the dust cloud's coming towards them. And all the guys are hammering, they're looking down, as it gets closer and closer and closer. All of a sudden it stops. Dust clears. There's a big limousine that's down there. Well, everybody's like, oh my God, who is this? What's going on? The driver gets out and opens the back door, and an older man gets out at the back, and he's looking up and down, and he looks, and the older man that's right there beside the young man, he's like, who is that? And they wave at each other, and he said, I'll be right back. So he goes down there, and the two men embrace, and they get in the back of the car, and they're talking probably 30, 45 minutes, and he gets out, and he goes back, and he gets up, starts hitting them stakes again. The young kid's like, it's like, my God, who was that? So what's the president of the railroad? He said, the president of the president of the railroad? He says, yeah. And he said, how do you know him? He said, we started on the very same day. And he said, what? And he said, yeah. And he said, well, why is he the president and you're still out here hammering stakes? He said, because he came to work for the railroad and I came to work for $2.50 an hour. Now, that may not mean a lot to you, but if you're going to do anything in your life, be true to it. Don't go work for the dollar. Work for the company that gave you the opportunity and do as good a job as you possibly can. Always be the very, very best that you can be. And once you do that, you'll be anything you want to be.
Right. Well said, well said, well said. Here on TRO, we always include scripture and prayer, getting ready to close. So at this time, we're going to just take a few moments to pray for everyone. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for waking us up this morning, not just for this morning, but keep us have a sound mind. We just thank you for good health daily. Thank you for guiding us the way you want us to. You want us to have the heart that you want us to have, oh God. I just ask right now you bless everyone who has watched the broadcast, increase our finances, that help us live better, to have a clean, good heart, to support one another, and going forward that we'll never be the same again. I just ask right now to just continue blessing everyone who's watching the broadcast. That's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Savage, we do appreciate you for tuning in for once again coming up on TRO, and look forward for you to come on another episode.
Absolutely.
Until next time, I'm Jeff Fowler, the executive producer of TRO, producer, editor. Till next time, peace out.